A very warm welcome to the Amersham Methodist Circuit YouTube channel and to this episode of Thought for Sunday with me, the Revd Adam Wells, the Superintendent of the Amersham Circuit of the Methodist Church. You are most welcome, whether you are joining us for the first time or have been with us many times. Today, the 3rd of March 2024 is the third Sunday in Lent, and after we've had our hymn we're going to have two readings from St John's Gospel to help us with our theme of words and actions. The hymn in Singing the Faith, number 545. Be thou my vision, O Lord of my heart.
The Gospel according to St John, chapter 13, beginning to read at the 34th verse. Jesus said, "I give you a new commandment, that you love one another. Just as I have loved you, you also should love one another. By this everyone will know that you are my disciples, if you have love for one another." And from the Gospel of John chapter 2, beginning to read at verse 13. The Passover of the Jews was near, and Jesus went up to Jerusalem. In the temple he found people selling cattle, sheep, and doves, and the money changers seated at their tables. Making a whip of cords, he drove all of them out of the temple, both the sheep and the cattle. He also poured out the coins of the money changers and overturned their tables. He told those who were selling the doves, "Take these things out of here. Stop making my Father's house a marketplace." His disciples remembered that it was written, "Zeal for your house will consume me." The Jews then said to him, "What sign can you show us for doing this?" Jesus answered them, "Destroy this temple, and in 3 days I will raise it up." The Jews then said, "This temple has been under construction for 46 years, and will you raise it up in 3 days?" But Jesus was speaking of the temple of his body. After he was raised from the dead, his disciples remembered that he had said this, and they believed the scripture and the word that Jesus had spoken. This is the word of the Lord. Thanks be to God.
In the first reading from John chapter 13, we find Jesus giving his disciples a new commandment. And that commandment is to love one another as I have loved you. It kind of sums up the 10 commandments which were listed as a reading in the lectionary today. Those commandments of years ago and Jesus' commandment are all commands. They are things to do or not to do. Some examples: honour your father and mother, love the Lord your God, and of course, on the lips of Jesus, the commandment to love. These words are important because they provide direction, instruction, however you might choose to interpret it. And then in the other reading from John's Gospel, we find Jesus smashing up the temple in Jerusalem, turning over the tables of the money lenders, and protesting that they have made the house of God into a den of robbers. I always think that what really irritates Jesus is the fact that they are taking advantage of the system of sacrifices in the temple, providing what people need to buy right close at hand. Come in, make a sacrifice, buy your animal on the way in. It's all very easy, but it's all very exploitative too, because they are overcharging, taking advantage of the geography and of the place they are in. I tend to think of it as being a bit like a motorway service area or refreshment at a sporting event, where the prices are hyped and take advantage of the situation they find themselves in. Jesus protests. He protests by turning over the tables, by sending people out. And these two go together, words and deeds, because the words we say are very important, but so also are the things we do. The 10 Commandments and Jesus' command to love resonate today as they have down the centuries. Jesus' actions in the temple still impress us with his vigour and his determination to turn out those who are cheating and overselling in God's house. Words and deeds are important in so many places, not least when there is conflict and dispute. How difficult it is at the moment to find out what is going on in Gaza, to know for sure, because we hear the words and the reports of different actions, and sometimes they are at variance with each other, and we see the pictures on our television. If the problems of the world are ever to be resolved, words and deeds need to come together in honesty, integrity, and love. Have a great weekend. Our closing hymn for Thought for Sunday for this week is number 172 in Singing the Faith. Hills of the north rejoice, river and mountain spring. I chose this because it's about people being brought together, because it is always better for people to be brought together in respect and honesty rather than them to be pulled apart. Have a really great weekend.